finally is new visits, and this is the percentage of visits that this is the percentage of visitors that come to your site that are new versus recurring. So someone who comes to a site and visits it multiple times clearly is more interested in the product or service you have to offer, and this is an important number to look at. Someone's asking a question about benchmarks for these. The benchmarks for page views, visits, unique visitors, and page views varies from site to site based on the product. Obviously, Toyota Store is going to have more visits and page views than a Buick Store. The other areas, pages, page views per visit, and time on site, those are more comparable from one site to the next. The average page views per visit is typically around 3.5 to 4.5. The average time on site is pretty much the same, 3.5 to 4.5. If you get up in 4.5, 5.5 minutes, 4.5, 5.5 pages per visit, you're doing pretty well. Bounce rate is typically about 20 to 25%. Again, there are some oddities that can cause that to go up. Like, for example, if you share a name of a store in a different market, obviously your bounce rate is going to be higher, and it's not a bad sign. What bounce rate typically does, if you get a traffic source that has a very high bounce rate, it indicates that people really aren't interested once they come from that traffic site, once they come from that source of traffic and actually viewing your site. The way we look at new visits, again, new visit percentage, typically we're in the 70% range of a traffic source that is new visits. So these are all the benchmarks you could expect for your basic analytic numbers. One of the things that Google Analytics is going to tell you is the traffic sources, or how did someone get to your site, meaning did they get there, did they go to a search engine, did they type your name in directly, did they find you on another website like cars.com and click on your link. So one of the things that Google Analytics is going to provide you is traffic sources. And here's a listing of traffic sources from a website. And you can see that the #1 traffic source is Google. Now when it shows you a traffic source, it'll show you the source, meaning Google, Yahoo, MSN. And the second item it'll show you is the medium. For example, someone could get to your site from Google through organic search, or if you look down here, #4, they can get to Google from pay-per-click traffic. So this site, Google is the #1 source of traffic. The organic Google is the #1 source of traffic. Pay-per-click is the #4. Bing organic is #5. Yahoo organic is #6. You'll see 2 sources of traffic here: iContact, that's email marketing, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. So this gives you a good idea of what sources are bringing what traffic to your dealership site. And what's important is it shows you what source your traffic is coming from, but also if you look over in the right-hand columns, it'll show you the number of pages per visit from that traffic source, the average time on site, percentage of new visits, and the bounce rate. When you go through all these numbers, you'll be able to see which sources of traffic are providing you the best quality of traffic. There's another question: is it possible for a visitor to follow a link from a site like Edmunds.com and it not show up in the traffic sources? Yes, it is possible. It's not likely. People who have disabled cookies or computers that don't use JavaScript don't show up as traffic. So if someone has their computer set up in that fashion, they won't show up as a visitor at all. But for example, someone to come from Edmunds.com and come to your site, it's more than likely that they will show up. And typically what that would do is show up as Edmunds.com/refer. You can see right here, LinkedIn.com referral. This is traffic that's coming from LinkedIn. So it is possible that a user doesn't show up in traffic. It's unlikely, though. So if there's someone telling you that, hey, traffic from this site just doesn't show up in analytics, it's not an accurate statement. So the next area we're going to move on to is goals. Now, obviously, when someone comes to your site, you want them to do something, meaning most of us want them to convert into an email. So we want them to go to a form, type in their information, and send that information in. That's a conversion. But you might want them to do other things on your site. Let's say, for example, you have an e-newsletter and a sign-up page on your site. You might, that's something you want someone to do. You want them to show up sign up for a newsletter, that has some value to you. Let's say someone doesn't convert, but there still are things you want them to do. For example, maybe they viewed a vehicle detail page. Someone who comes to your site and actually views detail pages is much more likely to be a customer than someone who comes to your site and just browses 2 or 3 nondescript pages. Other areas are, for example, map and directions page. Someone who looks at your map and directions page, it's pretty likely they want to come to your dealership. So all of these are areas that you can set up as goals. And what a goal looks like, for example, here is you can see that when you see the first thing I showed you was just traffic sources, right next to it there's a tab that says goals, and you can have up to 5 sets of goals up here. But what it'll show you is that Google Organic, 1.64% of Google Organic traffic converted to a lead, 0.85% of them went to map or directions view, 17% of them looked at a used vehicle, 8.29% of them looked at a new vehicle, 2.2% of them looked at a vehicle in the new car showroom. Overall, we had a goal conversion rate of 32%. Most people look at this number of 1.64 as the real conversion rate, and that is accurate. When you look at, this is only email conversions. It's not phone conversions. You can track phone conversions in Google Analytics. You'll need a third-party company like Mongoose Metrics to handle the phone tracking for you. Mongoose Metrics is a company that's very similar to Callbright or Who's Calling, and what they do is they manage the phone calls just like Callbright or Who's Calling does, but they have a system that actually puts phone conversions back into Google Analytics. So in this area right here, it's only showing you email traffic. A realistic lead conversion ratio is about 1.5 to 3% depending on the traffic source. You can see that Yahoo here, Yahoo Organic has a 2.86% lead conversion ratio, while Google pay-per-click has a 0.78% conversion ratio. So this will give you another idea as to the quality of the traffic, how many of these people are shoppers, how many of these people are buyers, or how much of these people are just tire kicking on your site. Now, it's not really important for me to show you in this webinar, but when you create a goal, you go to the website profile section, and over here there's a little tab called Edit, and you can create a new goal. How we go through that is probably a little advanced for a 101 webinar, but this is where you create goals, and you can create goals for virtually anything on your site. As long as it's a page that you want a customer to get to, you can label it as a goal and track how many people are viewing that goal together. I'm going to talk about some intermediate analytics right now, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to touch base on these briefly. And it's not meant. These areas are not meant to teach you how specifically to do them, but more that these features are available. Understanding what the software can do will help you get a lot more out of it. So one thing that you can do is you can create profiles for your website. So what will happen is you can create as many profiles as you like, and these profiles track sections of traffic. So for example, in this set of profiles, the main profile is right here, Honda of Ocala, and it tracks all the visitors that come to the site. For example, this profile sections out only people who are coming from Florida. So we can see that there's a good number of people coming to the site, perhaps as much as 10%, a little bit more, that are coming from out of the state. So what you can do is you can create these profiles to view any segment of traffic that you like, and this will help you create much simpler dashboards or much simpler reports so that you can understand how particular sections or traffic sources to your site do. You can even track, for example, hondaofocala.autowebspecials.com. This is a sides, an ancillary site that they have that does some lead conversions, and you can track that all in one analytic profile. So profiles will really help you manage your traffic and look at it from different viewpoints.